Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Lady K Chat Podcast. I am your host, Lady K, and today I will be talking about one of the most serious issues that we face here in this world, and that is domestic violence. Listen, domestic violence right now, you may not believe it, but it's probably higher than usual, and you know why? Because the predators are isolated with their prey. And guess what? We're not there to see it, we're not there to witness it. But let me tell you one thing, if you would like to help and you want to make sure that your loved ones are not going through this, or even someone that you may know, tune in at 6 p.m. as my guest and I today go more into details about domestic violence, what it looks like, and how you can help.
The following podcast is a Lady K Enterprises production.
Lady K.
Welcome, and thank you for tuning in to Lady K Chat, a podcast that is designed for all women to become better versions of themselves, which is broadcast every Tuesday and Thursday at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Various subjects will be speaked upon, such as relationships, personal development, health and wellness, wealth building, children, and so much more. She is a 2-time Amazon best-selling author, an international speaker, and life coach. She is Kalima, aka Lady K. And now for your host, Lady K.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Lady K Chat Podcast. And today's title, guys, is DV. Now, I know you're probably saying, what is DV? And DV stands for domestic violence. And right now, with the world so much under stress, this is taking place right under our own nose. So my guest and I today would like to take the time to discuss, why we're so passionate about it and some things that you can look for from your loved ones and your friends and family, on this DV situation. So with pleasure, I would like to please welcome author, speaker, and domestic violence advocate, Ms. Chandra Payne. How are you today, Chandra?
I am doing wonderful. Thank you so much for having me on the show. It's my honor and my pleasure.
Well, I thank you again for accepting the invitation. And Sandra, even though, I am excited for you accepting this situation that we're talking about, I know it's touchy, but I just want to have a transparent moment. I just really want to share this with the people. I just want to first start by saying that, a couple of years ago, right? I didn't understand why sometimes my feelings had shifted. And when I mean my feelings, I meant that I was very sensitive, to certain things that was going on. And at first I'm like, why am I so sensitive? What is wrong with me, right? However, I got to a point where I said, you know what? It's okay, Kalima. There's nothing wrong with you. So I learned to embrace it, right? And then when I learned to embrace it, I start to a little bit more understanding my calling and what God wanted me to do, because I didn't realize I was so being sensitive to domestic violence individuals. And even though it affected me personally, but what really made me come out is that someone that I'm close to and my family shared their story with me. And it hurt me so much because it happened right underneath my eyes. And I was like, wow, how can I not pick up the cues? But I was young, so I had to learn to not beat myself up. But long story short, about 3 years ago, I started speaking publicly about domestic violence because I felt like, that is part of my calling. And I understand that some people don't have voices and they need to see another strong person to speak up and talk about it. So I just wanted to open up and I wanted to share that moment with you guys on what made me be so passionate about this subject. Now, Sandra, I would love for you to share, your transparent moment with us and what made you become an advocate.
Sure. About 2 years ago, I published a book, and the book it's a self-help book for women. And what happened after publishing that book and getting it on the market, domestic violence survivors it was almost like a magnet. Everywhere I would go, they were attracted to me. And at first I had no idea why. I thought, well, this wasn't really who I designed who I thought my target audience would be.
Right.
But every time I would go out and speak or vend at a conference, these victims and survivors would come up to me and they would share their stories with me. And I mean, horrific stories, things that they had to go through just to survive. And so, as a result of me meeting these strong women who had survived these horrible situations, I started researching and I became intrigued and wanted to know more about domestic violence. And after doing the research and actually calling some organizations and picking up resources, because that's how deep I got into it. I wanted to know more. I had a thirst for more knowledge.
Right.
That's when I began to realize that I had loved ones who are currently in domestic violence relationships, and or a loved one who has come out of a domestic violence relationship and is now a survivor.
Wow.
And so realizing that I had, that this was impacting people that I cared about, people that I loved, people that I talked to, on a daily basis. And yet this was happening to them in their homes and I didn't know it, right? I didn't know it and I didn't know how to help them. And so as an advocate, I now realize the best help that I could give is not to be in their face, forcing them to try to leave, right? As an advocate, I'm here to provide resources and to spread the message and to get the word out that this is really happening in our homes, right under our noses, to people that you go to work with every day, people that you talk to on the phone every day, and you would never know it. So that's why I do the work that I do, because I'm on a mission to spread the word to as many people as I can that this is happening and we need it to stop.
Right. Listen, I'm there with you. As you was talking to me, I don't know if you ever heard of this TV show. It's called God Friend Me. And it was this boy. It was kind of interested. I have to throw this in. It was a young boy and he was an atheist and was kind of interested that his father is a pastor, right? And he got these weird messages where he's supposed to go on the mission, like you just said, to help people. And that's the key thing that keep running in my head. People think that, you have to have certain titles or certain things just to do the work. And as I both hear us saying what made us passionate about it, is like, no, once you recognize it, and like you said, you became thirsty, I became thirsty as well. Our job is to get out there to help the people, like you said, to give the resources and to spread the message. So for people who's hesitating right now, you might want to do the work, but you're like, I don't know. I definitely just want to highly encourage you and let you know that you may play a part in someone's life. You never know, and you should open your mouth and help other individuals out there.
Absolutely. That is true. That's so funny. I haven't watched the show God Friend Me, but I just saw, I was watching TV this weekend and I just saw like a teaser for it.
Right.
And I asked my husband, I was like, what is that? So now I'm going to have to go check it out.
Yes, you definitely have to check it out. And, and the reason why I said that too, because again, a lot of people feel like, the titles, and I'm like, I need people to like, please stop being so fixated over titles and just do the work, because at the end of the day, this is what God does want us to do. And you never know why someone come into your life. It can just be for a simple reason for them to help you. But I understand, because we're so battered and we've been through so much in the world, our guards are up. So we're like, who sent you and who are you? Mm-hmm. And why do you want to help me in my life? Like there are people out there who just genuinely wants to help you. But again, we have to be adherent to our bodies and know that, okay, this person vibe is great. Let me let them in a little bit. But I understand, like you said earlier, you can't force yourself on people. Just let them know that you care. I think that's the most simplest act that we can give one another. Would you agree?
Yes, definitely. And I'm speaking from experience. Doing this the hard way, or the wrong way, I guess that's the correct term.
Right.
In the beginning, trying to force those that I care about to leave these kinds of relationships. And all that did was further isolate, right? Which is just another tactic of the abuser. So I definitely, if you don't hear anything that I say today, please do not make the mistake of trying to force a victim to leave.
Right. And like you said too, with the experience, I did that before when I was younger. I didn't understand. And I think sometimes too, knowing what I know, I'm not saying that I'm perfect, but I see other people going hard and I'm like, please don't do that because all
Mhm.
you're doing is making that person go into a deeper shell. And
Yes.
that tactic that you're using, you can't do that because they're not going to want to open up to you. They might shut down and just, and shut you out.
Yes. That's exactly what happens,
Right.
unfortunately.
So I think we really have to be smart about the tactic and just be very strategic, when we do come across certain individuals in certain situations. Again, we have to, I know deep down inside, like we're furious and angry that this is happening to the person that we love and we care, but we also too have to share compassion because I learned this too, when you give empathy, they're like, oh, this person, they understand me.
Hmm.
Oh, I love what they're doing. They're showing me compassion. They're agreeing with me. Those tactics right there, that will make them become more vulnerable and more open to you. Would you agree?
Yes, I definitely would, because what we have to remember is that um, by forcing or attempting to force the victim to leave the abuser, the victim is already being controlled on a
Right.
daily basis. They are already being controlled, manipulated. Um, they don't want any more control. They don't need anybody else in their lives trying to control them, and trying to force them to leave their abuser.
Right. That's so true. And then you was talking about how the abuser, how he's using his tactics. And I actually spoke about this in a show a couple of weeks ago. And what they don't realize is that they're using those gaslighting tactics. The
Mhm.
reverse psychology things that they're unaware of. But I think what's great is when a person does come out of this and then they're being more aware and then they see the tactics, they
Mhm.
can be like, oh, okay, I get it now. So moving forward, they know they won't make themselves vulnerable to the same situation.
Absolutely. You are so right. I was talking to a survivor, and she now has a organization because she's now an advocate. And I was talking to her recently, and we were talking about red flags, right? And when she was in an abusive relationship, she thought the red flags, that was love to her.
Right.
That was love, that he only wanted to be with her, that he
Right.
didn't want her to spend time with her family or friends or anybody else. He just wanted to snuggle up on the couch with her, right? That was what she thought. Oh, I finally found the man of my dreams. What she didn't realize, she now realizes it now, was that that was a form of isolation. And
Right.
half the time when he wanted her all to himself, he wasn't even there, right? He would keep her from going to a barbecue or going out to spend time with her, with people who cared about her, her resources, right? And
Right.
then he would leave the house.
Mm. All about the control. And you know
Yeah.
what? You made me think about a situation that happened to me, in my early years with the isolation. I remember when I was with this gentleman and he told me, and I thought he was, at first, I'm like, is he crazy? And I'm like, nah, I'm not messing with him. But what he told me is, oh, you're too close with your family and you need to grow up. And at this time, I'm living in Long Island. And he told me, oh, I would like for us to move to Albany. I'm like, Albany is far. He was like, yeah, we need to be far. And, I'm just happy at that age, and I was under the age of 18, that, even though I thought I was in love, but I was still paying attention. And I was like, no, some of the stuff that he's saying, this don't make no sense. So for me, that's why I said it didn't affect me too much because I only stayed in for 2 years. And 2 years is
Mhm.
too long anyway. But I'm just happy that I got out. But I started to learn the behaviors and I knew that wasn't right. So again, I'm just happy I was able to get out this situation. And for people that's going through similar situations, I just, want to give you the encouragement that if you feel like it's hard for you to leave, make a plan, strategize, because people like that sometimes are not easy to get away from. Luckily, I didn't have to fight with my abuser, and it was easy for me to get out, even though he threatened me. But thank God on that end, it was just talk. What I do realize in other people's circumstances, that's not always the case.
Yes, unfortunately, um, there are a number of reasons why victims stay. It could be financial. Maybe the abuser is controlling the money. So the victim may not have money to leave the abuser. It
Right.
could be the physical harm or even the threats, the fear of being harmed if they were to leave the abuser. And then, of course, there are situations where there are kids involved. And so there are
Right.
many reasons that the victim will stay. Thank God in your case, you were able to get out. And I like something that you said just a minute ago when you talked about the importance of having a plan. You are absolutely right. In many cases, a victim cannot just pack up and leave right then and there, right? Because
Right.
when the victim is attempting to leave the abuser, that is a critical time, oftentimes. That is a time where there could be a lot of violence because remember, the abuser is all about having power and control over the victim. So if
Right.
the victim decides, okay, today I'm done, I'm out of here, I'm leaving, that means the abuser has no one to have power and control over. And they're going
Absolutely.
to lose it, right?
Right. And Chandra, guess what?
What's up?
This is getting so juicy because listen, I got some stuff that I want to say too, but ladies and gentlemen, we are running out of time. Please tune in for our part 2 because Sandra's about to elaborate. She's about to give us the 411, guys. So we will see you guys on part 2.
Lady K, 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 K.